Welcome in, everyone, to Lively Lewis Stories.
That's right, we're back with even more awesome adventures with Levi and Ivy.
Set your storytime meter to fun and get ready to join the Lively Lewis crew.
All you need is your imagination and...
Off we go! I can't wait to see where our story takes us today.
Have you ever wanted to get more Lively Lewis in your life?
Well, we've got you covered.
Grab an adult and zoom over to livelylewisshop.com.
Or just click on the link in our show notes.
Enough about that. Let's get to today's super Lively Lewis story.
I can't believe it looks like this, said Levi as he sat down on a bench and kicked a soda can with his foot. Me too, added Ivy. It seems like nobody cares about keeping the park clean. There used to be so many people here all the time. But now it's empty, and I can't blame them. I don't really like being here nowadays either, especially with it looking like this. It's been more than lately, said Levi. We used to come here all the time to play, and now it's just a big mess. Levi and Ivy loved more than anything meeting at the park to play with their friends. They went sledding in the winter, made leaf piles to jump in during the fall, and played soccer, baseball, and tag all spring and summer long. But for the past few months, they noticed that people weren't taking good care of the park at all, with the biggest problem being people leaving trash all over the ground. On top of that, park benches needed painting, some of the swings needed fixing, and it was clear they needed a separate section of the park for dogs because of the surprises they left all over the grass. That and their owners weren't cleaning it up. Levi and Ivy noticed day after day that no one seemed to want to fix all these problems because there were so many of them. But if one thing got fixed, maybe that would start a ripple effect. Meaning if one thing in the park looked good, like it used to, then people would want to make the rest of the park look just as good. Then maybe the swings would get fixed, the benches would get painted, the trash would get picked up, and Levi, Ivy, and their friends would have their beautiful park back. Just look around. It's so much work, said Ivy. I know, added Levi. But the alternative is that it gets worse and worse. If only we knew someone who would start to fix it up. Maybe all this park needs is someone to just start. Levi and Ivy sat on the bench looking around at all that needed to be done when they suddenly both had the same idea at the same time. We can do it! Exclaimed Levi and Ivy, jumping up from the bench filled with excitement. What a great idea, said Levi. The first step is sometimes the hardest one to take because you haven't seen anything happen yet. However, you have to take it for change to start, hoping that maybe that little step will start you running. And that's all we need to do right now is start. Not finish everything all at once. Just start. And before we know it, we'll have a bunch of people helping us because they'll see our good work and want to help make our dream a reality, added Ivy with a big smile. That's all we can hope for. But right now, all we have are you and I and this dream to get started, said Levi. Their dream was for the park to once again be beautiful, fun, well-cared-for place that they loved to play in. And even though taking that first step seemed like such a small action, they did it with their fingers crossed, hoping others would join them in their journey. Levi and Ivy knew that they needed the right supplies if they wanted to complete their task. So they ran home, asked their parents for help. Once they gathered some gloves, rakes, and trash grabbers, they headed back to the park with their parents. They decided to focus in one area and started with the playground. They all began picking up soda cans, juice boxes, chip bags, candy wrappers, and all the things that were littering the playground with their trash grabbers. They made sure to separate the recycling and threw the rest in the big trash cans that lined the edge of the park. They just hoped that if people came back to enjoy the park and saw it clean, they would keep it clean. They assumed from what they saw recently that if people saw a mess, they would be less likely to throw out their own trash properly and think no one else cared either. Levi and Ivy knew that that was no way to think. And as they worked that afternoon, they saw very quickly that one person, or four in their case, could start to make a difference. Levi, Ivy, and their parents cleaned up the area around the swings, slides, balance beam, rock wall, and play structure. It looked great, and they were so proud of themselves. But it was getting late, and they headed home for dinner. But as they were leaving, Levi and Ivy's friends rode by on their bikes. Wow, the playground looks amazing, one friend exclaimed. It hasn't looked this good in a long time, said another. Did you do all of this work? Asked another. Levi and Ivy nodded their heads, looking very happy. Our parents helped us too. but we could always use some help tomorrow, said Levi. Yep, there's still a lot that needs to be done. Then their friends said something wonderful. They all offered to meet Levi and Ivy at the park the next day to keep on their journey of cleaning up so everyone in their community and beyond could enjoy it again. Levi and Ivy couldn't believe their little step of picking up trash in the playground really worked. It was starting a ripple effect that Levi and Ivy had just hoped would get the park back to the way it used to be. They thanked their friend for offering to help and set up a time to meet the next day. Once Levi and Ivy and their parents returned to the park the next day, they waited patiently for their friends to show up. For a minute or two, they thought maybe they weren't going to show up like they had promised. And then, all of a sudden, they saw them. Not just their friends, but their friends' parents and their friends' brothers and sisters and even their friends' neighbors. Levi and Ivy could have not been happier. They realized at that exact moment that a small act can cause a big change. It can get others excited for that change and make them want to join in and help. And they didn't just show up. They all brought tools to help. Some brought garbage bags to gather up more trash, some bought paint supplies to paint park benches, and others brought tools to help fix the swings and anything else that needed it. They worked all morning and into the afternoon. And as it was getting closer to lunchtime, they got a special surprise. The owner of a deli, right around the corner from the park, had seen how hard they had all been working to make the park look beautiful once more, and wanted to show how much he appreciated it. He was so impressed by them volunteering their time to do something nice for the community that he brought over sandwiches, drinks, and chips for everyone to enjoy during a well-deserved break. He even dropped off cookies and lemonade later in the afternoon to say thank you for the great work they were doing. You know what? Said the owner of the deli. I should set up a little food cart here on the weekend. With the park looking this great, I'm sure everyone will come back and want to stay all day. And while they're enjoying the park, they can have a little something to eat. That would be great, cheered the kids. They all loved his lemonade and cookies, and loved even more the thought of having them right there by the playground to buy while they were playing. What a great idea, said Levi. Well, I never would have had it if it hadn't been for all the great work you and your friends are doing here, said the owner of the deli as he headed back to the store. Thank you so much. Wow, Ivy, did you hear that? Asked Levi. I sure did. It's amazing that our hard work in the park is helping local businesses too. Just think, cleaning the playground yesterday with Mom and Dad kicked off everything that's going on today. Like when you throw a little pebble into a puddle and it makes a small ripple, then a bigger one and a bigger one. You two did such a great job, said Levi and Ivy's mom, overhearing their conversation. You should be really proud of yourselves. We are, but we're also proud of you and Dad, our friends, their families, and everyone in the community who came here to help today. Their work continued through the late afternoon, until it was almost time for dinner. Everyone said their goodbyes and agreed to meet back the next day to finish up a few little things that didn't get totally finished that day. After a shower, a good dinner, and a well-deserved rest on the couch with a big bowl of ice cream, Levi and Ivy slept very well that night. They dreamed of playing in their favorite park once again and making fun memories with their friends. Memories they wouldn't have been able to make if they didn't take that first small step to bring back the park they knew and loved so much. But after the day they had, they realized they weren't the only ones that loved it so much. The park was very important to their community as well. It was clear, by the way, everyone jumped at the chance to help out once the work was started. However, since they all thought the job was too big to start, it took a while for that change to happen. Lucky for them, Levi and Ivy decided to stop hoping the situation would get better and actually made a step, no matter how small it seemed at the time, to start. And that step led to a great journey. They were now on with their community. The next day, a few little things that had to be finished got done quickly, so they had time for more addition to the park. That morning, they got flowers donated by a local florist to plant in 2 big flower pots at the entrance to the park. The florist, whose shop was right next to the park, said she would donate flowers each season to keep the plant pots looking great all year long. The group working on the park was so grateful, and the flowers were just the right finishing touch for their park project. Thank you so much, everyone, for helping out, said Levi as everyone gathered around the playground when they were all done that day. We couldn't have imagined we'd get all this help and get everything done so quickly, added Ivy as she pointed to the park and playground so everyone could appreciate the great work they did together. It just proves how much we can get done when we work as a team. We couldn't have done all of this without you. Kids and families filled the park that day, playing and enjoying it the way they used to. And most importantly, throwing their trash in the trash cans, not wanting to mess up the beautiful space around them that they had helped create. And in the weeks and months and years that followed, the park stayed looking great because of the club Levi and Ivy formed that day called Park Patrol. The club was open to anyone in the community that wanted to help keep the park looking wonderful all the time. They knew with the space looking so good and welcoming again, that lots of people would be coming back to enjoy it. That meant they would have to keep up on repairing, replanting, and trash pickup. The town agreed to help as well after seeing all the hard work the community had put into the park and realizing what an important part of the neighborhood it was. Park Patrol also started to do other nice things in their community when the park didn't need their attention. They did little jobs for older neighbors like shoveling when it snowed or helping them take in their groceries. They also helped little ones play safely on the playground, worked to create a small dog park, and even helped out at the food carts that popped up in the park after everyone returned to enjoy it. All of Levi and Ivy's hard work led to new friendships and wonderful connections in their community, strengthening it and making it a wonderful place to live and grow. And from that one small step that Levi and Ivy made that day at the playground, they learned a very important lesson. The power of positive actions, no matter how small they may seem, can have the most wonderful effect on the world around you.
Thanks for joining us today. We hope you enjoyed the story and learned a little something too.
And since we know everyone has their own story, we'd love to hear yours.
If you have an idea for a Lively Lewis story, leave a comment on our Apple Podcast review page with 5 stars, your idea, and your little one's name.
Then maybe our next adventure will be with you.
Until our next Storytime Hangout.
Thanks for listening. We can't wait to share another fun Lively Lewis story with you.